name's Priya. Hi, my name's Matthias. Hi, his name's Brian. Hi, his name's Qua. Hi, and his name's William.
Okay, so this week I'm Discussion Moss, and my first question for us is, how is the world state backwards from today's society? So how does morality get inverted in that society? I think that one of the good examples of like this backwards morality is kind of the idea of the sexual promiscuity in today's society. It's almost it's not normal to like have it like out in the open like that, and to have like centrifugal bumble puppy and that whole idea of like
centrifugal.
Yeah, and the whole idea of like displaying sexuality versus here, it's not normal to have that kind of.
Yes, religion played a big part in that, and it kind of stuck through. So a lot of people still retain the whole wait until marriage, but also like sex. They were just doing it out in the open. They weren't wearing clothes. We would see that as savage in our society.
Okay, so my final question is, who is the protagonist? So we see a lot of characters. We see Lenina, we see the director, we see Mustafa Mann, we see all these other characters, and they all get kind of talked about by the narrator. But who is the protagonist of this story?
I think it's Bernard Marx, because we already see a quirk in him. The alpha, he's an alpha plus or something, but he's like kind of smaller than what he's supposed to be. It was like liked by society to be alpha, so he kind of like doesn't exactly fit that entire image. And at the end, we kind of see them making fun of him for that.
There's also the possibility that there could be multiple protagonists.
Yes.
Because they do shift perspectives and stories. So I know during the last chapter, they were focusing on, all at the same time, the commander, Lenina, and it was the science professor, scientist. It had an F.
Okay.
But anyway, they shifted perspectives between those three stories, so it kind of makes it a little difficult. But they have spent a lot of time on the director's introduction.
And just to be structure, the Act 1 is all about like explaining the society. Yeah.
Okay. So my second role was sell a book to your followers, and well, in here, this is just an image of like a fetus, and that kind of just goes back to the idea of the whole mass production of babies and how that effectively allows the government, the world state, to assert control over the populace. And then, interestingly, I decided to put the fetus like almost upside down to kind of show the backwards morality that we were talking about earlier. So how sexually promiscuous these world state citizens are. And in each of the stories, so there's a couple of images here. Each one is like a topic that they talked about in the first couple chapters. So the first image is of a T, so in reference to Ford's Model T. The second would be the gear and the idea of the assembly line and the mass production of humans. The lips represent almost like kissing and sexual promiscuity. The dollar sign represents the consumerism that we see in the society. So what the director said was ending is better than mending. So rather than to fix something, you buy another one. And the last one is a hand, and it's almost the authoritarian nature of the world state.
So if you wanted to, if you put it upside down because it's backwards, but most fetuses develop upside down.
So
right side up would probably make more sense if you're talking about almost backwards. Again, my name is Matthias, and I'm doing InstaFame feed and character selfie. So I think I'll start with character selfie. For a username, I put LE, the number 9, and A, because I thought that was how you pronounce her name, Lenina. So I thought that would be something kind of cool that she put, to make herself seem different. Or maybe it's like she's the 9th version of herself, because we know that they're all copies. So for the picture itself, I know that she got dressed up for a date. Well, what we would call a date. But yeah, a white and green cap, corduroy green shorts, and yeah, a nice jacket. Plus her Morocco surrogate belt that was a gift from her scientist friend named
Henry.
Let's go with Henry.
Yeah.
And yeah, for my hashtags, I put hashtag Morocco surrogate belt, hashtag green, and hashtag end not mend. And for the caption, I put the fit is unreal, y'all. Bye, because she is waving in the photo. For her followers or the people that she's following, I tried to draw the same face for all of them because they're all copies of each other, genetically similar twins. So I put Foster Bernard, one of the schoolboys, director, and Jeremy. I don't know Jeremy. Like I was just making that up. Yeah, and then for so yeah, because she looks the same as a lot of other women. The only difference would be in her outfits, which she does choose to advertise. Yeah, that would be her only discernible characteristic. And the quote I used was, "It's real Morocco surrogate." It was a gift from Foster, and she would want him to know that she liked the gift. Secondly, I did InstaFame feed. So I put some of the process. This is the director's account. 126 following, 14,000 followers because he is the director and he would want to make the page look nice. So first to last, fertilization, then cutting off oxygen to those damned epsilons. 3, giving our babes some nutrients because they injected nutrients. 4, nothing like good old conditioning for the neoplavlovine conditioning experiments. And then there was a picture of the speaker, and the caption was, "Alphas work too hard, betas are better, epsilons can suck it." And then finally, who wants to play centrifugal bumble puppy? Kazaji.
No, Google. So that's what I did. So the first question was, why is it important for babies to bond with their mothers, right? So bonding is an intense attachment that develops between the parents and the baby. It makes the parent want to shower the baby with love and affection and to protect them and care for them like a little one. And a parent is responsive for the infant's signals and can affect this child's society and child's social and cognitive developments, right? Source was webmd.com. So how and why does this help the readers understand this? So in this futuristic dystopian society, babies are grown from test tubes, raised without mothers, but by scientists/nurses. Depending on the child's status, they are conditioned to know what they are or worth or used in the society, right? So I thought that was why. The second one was, what is sex good for besides reproduction, right? So what I found out, it helps to build our immune system. Basically, it lowers our blood pressure, lessens our stress, lower chance of heart attacks, and improves sleep. And it's also another excuse for exercising, and also because recycles basically. What else? Yeah, also relaxes your organs, right? And the source was www.webmd.com. So in this society, sex is an embarrassment to humankind. So what are the disadvantages of not having like actual intimacy with each other? And besides health and reproduction, what else is sex good for? Group chat. So I have person A. So this is how it starts. It's between 2 students, person A, person B. So person A. Can you send me the mobile? Can you mobilely send the notes, the lectures from the faculty that we took at 2:31 a.m. Pacific time? And the person's response, yes, I can. He sends the image of the notes. Person says, can you imagine that our prehistoric ancestors? And then the person A says, person B says, 5-partipility, which means like intercourse between 2 species. It's like, yeah, I know. Imagine. Yes, I can see your assumptions. Person says, like, what's the point of having a phallus? The person says, I don't know. I just don't want to. I just want to use it one day. besides, and then the person says urination. So it kind of foreshadows like what the person's gonna use with their phallus instead of just reproduction. What else is it and what else is it good for?
Okay, so for this week I did impactful InstaFame post. The quote I chose for my first one was community identity and stability, right? And so in the scene, the director is giving the students a tour of like the cloning factory. And I thought this was significant because it shows like the central ideology of the society, and the babies basically represent the method in which the system controls and like works towards this ideology. And so I drew a baby in the little tube or whatever. And the second post I made was, or I chose a scene. You all remember, I suppose, that beautiful inspired saying of our Ford's, history is bunk. History, he repeated slowly, is bunk. And basically in this scene, Mustafa Mond, or whatever his name is telling these people that they should focus on the future instead of the bunk past. And I thought this was significant because it establishes the foundation of like the society, and it's basically rooted in happiness. And in order to maximize happiness, they have to forego the past, which is filled with emotions like love, anger, and temptation. And for this post, I drew a picture of like a piece of paper, and I drew a clock, and that represents history, and the past is being burnt away. Second role I had this week was hashtag trending connections, and the first one I chose was hashtag alpha epsilon. So in the society of Brave New World, the people are separated into like different classes. So we have alpha, beta, and so on, goes all the way to epsilon. And I drew a parallel to the caste system in India, which works similarly. So people, there's people on top, and then there's like the untouchables, which are like slaves. The second hashtag that I chose was hashtag Fordism, and in this society, time is tracked through the AF system, which means after Ford. And I thought this was interesting because in this, they're drawing like a parallel to, they're basically representing Ford as like a godlike figure, similar to Christ, which is what we use. We use AD. The last hashtag I chose was hashtag centrifugal bumble puppy. And this is basically a game that the children play. So the children are only allowed to play like government approved games so that the government can sell their products. And I think the author was trying to highlight like the consumerism that plagues the society, and I think consumerism is something that we see in real life society today. And so yeah, I thought that was interesting.
With the neo-Pavlovian conditioning, they were trying to teach them to appreciate not the nature of the country, but intense games that you could only play out in the country for the purpose of them paying for transportation. And this was the deltas and the epsilons, although I think specifically just the deltas. So they would want the deltas to pay to see centrifugal bumble puppy, which is also using a large, very complicated apparatus, as opposed to just like a bat and balls.
I remember there was another one where they conditioned this one class to like going to the countryside, but
That's deltas, yeah.
that's so.
Yeah, so they would have to pay for the weird apparatus to enjoy the game, which they're conditioned to like. Yes.
Okay, so my first role I had look at the Instagram feed, and the first word I'm gonna talk about is Nabokov-Zhitsky's process. And it's important because there's this quote in the book where it says major instrument of social stability, and yeah, they literally create humans and they dictate everything beyond that point. So the second word I have is hypnophobia, and this is basically sleep teaching, which they do to kind of teach them certain things about themselves and how to that they're to make sure that they're fulfilled about what what class they're in, to lessen rebellions and stuff like that. And then I have the word Ford. Now Ford meaning Henry Ford, and Henry Ford is like a god in their society. They go by the centuries or something, the AF.
Yeah.
So he's so important to them, and yeah, you can see that when they use like oh Ford instead of Lord. In our society, we use Lord, but they use Ford. So we also have Soma. Now we haven't gotten super into Soma yet, but we know it's like a drug for like unhappy feelings. They use it to like make sure they feel happy. And then I have the word promiscuous, and this word means having or characterized by many transient sexual relationships. And as we know, it's very like looked upon society. And also in the book, we see one girl had like a 4-month relationship with this one guy named Henry, I think.
Mhm.
And her friend was like, "You've been with him too long, go with someone else." So we can see that long, like, relationships are not liked upon in like the society.
A monogamous
Yes,
relationships.
yes.
Yeah.
They didn't even know what that is. Like with the children, remember?
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, we don't know what that is. It's strange." So those are the main words that I have. I don't know, one more. Pneumatic. Now, I was kind of like, I was like, what is that? What in this context? How does that word even make sense? But pneumatic means containing or operated by air or gas under pressure. It also can be described to like describing women in a way in society, which a man does, kind of describing how like good she is in bed, basically. So
Yeah, they were describing her as like a piece of meat.
yes,
And she even described herself as a piece of meat. And that's also part of the backward society thing. Because own yourself, you know, you're not just a piece of meat.
didn't Bernard kind of like not like that?
Oh no, I'm saying like our society is
Oh, yeah,
you are your own person.
Yes.
But even a quote like everyone belongs to everyone else.
Oh yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
So for my second one, I have BuzzNews article, and the first one I have is Volkanovsky's process equals social stability, and like I explained before, it's like literally like the basis of their society almost, among other processes that they use to like kind of dictate who is going to be what and what they're going to do in their life. Then I have Hypnophadia again. Let's learn while we sleep. So yeah, they use it for like moral education and to like kind of insert information in them, like subliminally almost.
That's the dystopian role of subtle social
Yes.
norm. Or like, yeah.
Yes.
I think in their society, little alpha would be an oxymoron, I think it's called. Like big shrimp, or jumbo
Yes.
shrimp. Yeah. So little alpha, those two words just don't go together because they see alphas as taller and, you know, like with wolves, alphas and omegas, alphas are always the bigger ones. So for them to have a smaller.
I think it's a quote. Yeah, smallness was so horribly and typically low caste. So